So last week we spoke about the plank and how the plank was a really vital exercise that a lot of people were kind of alienating because they said if it was too easy, you weren't getting anything out of it. And today what I want to talk about is how to take the plank from being a very basic exercise, adding a couple little tweaks in there, making it a lot better of an exercise and getting more out of it. So let's start with that intro. Guys, it's Monday and it's time for Move Better Mondays, filmed on Sundays. And today we are talking about how to take your plank from being a really easy exercise to being a lot more complicated. Now, if you didn't see last week's episode, I went over a couple of the really important details and why I think that we shouldn't alienate the plank. So if you haven't checked that out, I'm gonna put the link right up here and you guys can click on that, head there, watch that, and then come back and continue this. So the first thing we really need to pay attention to when we are discussing planking and how to make it harder is, as I mentioned last week, you wanna make sure that you're hitting that benchmark timeline. So that benchmark timeline is gonna be the time you're gonna know that you're able to progress with that exercise and you're actually in complete control of it and you've more or less mastered that move. So the time that I like to initially tell all my clients to hit is 60 seconds. If you can hit 60 seconds, you're pretty much good to go and ready to move on. Now there's 4 different ways we can challenge the plank and make it a lot more difficult. Number 1, make the surface underneath our hands or our feet unstable. Number 2, challenge extension of the spine. Number 3, challenge rotation of the spine. And number 4, challenge rotation of the spine with resistance. Now, if you follow that order and progressively go through each of those as you master each level individually, you're gonna be at a place where you're gonna be a lot more able to structurally support your core and support other movements. So let's take a look at all of those individually. So the first thing you can do is by making the surface underneath you unstable, and the best way to do that, the simplest way to do that, is by using a Bosu, which is basically what I've got right here. So you can get back into that plank position on your forearms and just hold that plank position for about 60 seconds. And that's gonna be enough to just kind of challenge the instability underneath you. It's not gonna be a tremendous increase, but if you're looking for a small incremental increase, this is gonna be the best place to start. Now, if this becomes really easy, you can jump to an exercise ball, yoga ball, stability ball, whatever you want to call it. Now, it's not going to be as challenging as this, but it's going to be just enough to get you to that second step, which is basically going to be right over here. So let's swing that right on over and you can take a look at this. So the second step is basically very simple. It's essentially just challenging extension of the spine. So when we're doing that, a TRX is a great way to do it. Now you can also use a stability ball or an exercise ball. I like using this simply because it's right here, it's very easy. I can swing it in, pull it back out. And the exercise ball is also great. It's just tough sometimes because you might have a ball that's too big or a ball that's too small, whereas this is easy to just slide up and down and get it to the right height. So basically from here, you're gonna place your hands right on the handles. You're gonna keep yourself nice and straight up. And all you're gonna do is maintain a nice straight spine as you drop down, reach out, and then pull back in. So basically from here, what I'm doing is I'm actually increasing that angle from my arms into my torso. And what that's doing is that's making me struggle to hold that nice neutral spine. So it's challenging the extension of my spine, which is the second step and a very crucial part of building a nice core. And it's also a great way to progress from a plank because all we're really doing is maintaining that somewhat plank position and then just increasing that angle, challenging our extension, which is a huge component of that plank exercise. Now, once you've mastered this, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is try to resist rotation. So an anti-rotation component to that basic plank exercise. And we're gonna achieve this by basically just picking an arm up off the ground or picking a leg up off the ground. And that's gonna cause us to challenge that rotation and try to prevent ourselves from completely falling over. So let's take a quick look at what that is. So I'm gonna place this down here so you guys can get a good look at what I'm doing. And I'm basically gonna get up into a push-up position. Now this is the most basic way to do it. And I'm gonna start with the easiest way to do it, then I'm gonna progress over to the next level of it. So basically, get up into a push-up position. You can also be down on the forearms. You don't have to be up in a push-up position. I'm just doing this so you guys can see clear right underneath me. And basically from here, you're just gonna raise one leg. And when you raise that leg, what you're trying to do is stop yourself from completely dropping the hip and wrapping and falling over. So what you can do is lift that leg up. It doesn't have to be all the way up here. A couple inches off the ground is perfect. bring it back down, control it, and then bring the other leg up. You don't really have to hold that contraction very long, about 2 seconds to 3 seconds, just to make sure that you know exactly that you're able to control it and how well you're able to control it. From there, if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you can then use the arms. So from here, if I'm using the arms, I can do a couple of different things. I could bring the arms up, I could bring the arms out to the side, I could bring it across and tap my shoulder, but essentially the same thing holds true. When I bring that arm up, I want to make sure that my hip doesn't drop, and at the same time, this is really common with this one here, is that when I lift my arm up, I'm very likely to lift and rotate and open up my face and basically open up and point out there. What I want to do is I want to maintain that same neutral position I had when I started, so hands up and hips stay flat. Now, once we've done that and we've more or less mastered that phase, what we want to do next is bring in some external load to that rotation. So now how we're going to do that is by basically just grabbing a weight, an external weight, taking it, trying to drag it along the ground, pulling an elastic in front of us, and just trying to create some resistance against that stability and that rotation. So for this, I generally like to use something as simple as a kettlebell, and basically from here, I'm going to get back up into my plank position, and I'm going to start with the weight out on the outside of me, bring it across my body, flip it over so that my handle's ready on the other side. When I come back over to this side, I'm pulling it back across, rotating it, and vice versa, coming back to this side and flipping. Now, once you've managed to pull off all of these 4 steps, you've basically kind of taken a very simple plank exercise and made it a lot more challenging. Now, the good thing about that is that as you progressively get better and better and better at this, you're gonna be able to actually challenge each one of those phases individually, and you can actually build a nice workout or even a warm-up out of each of those phases. So essentially taking, that anti-extension, throwing in a rollout on a TRX or on a stability ball, challenging a nice 3-point plank by basically taking one hand off the ground and touching your shoulder, and kind of messing around with all those different variations. And that's gonna be actually a great workout for you. And the more you do this and the better you get at it, the much better you're gonna be with those exercises and with the plank, and being able to kind of diversify that and not lose out on what you're trying to do with that plank, which is essentially take an easy exercise, make it a lot more complicated, and build your core and move better. Now, next week, we're gonna be talking about the side plank, which is a very similar type of maneuver, a little bit different on the angle, so we're gonna be pulling on, but it's still gonna be interesting. It's still gonna be something that you're gonna wanna pay attention to and watch, because there's a lot of great exercises you can build and you can progress from and build on that simple exercise, which is the side plank. If you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that now by clicking right down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week.